Thank you for your time. The questions I'm going to ask were formed by a group of Chicago teens who are interested in addressing and starting a dialogue about topics most important to our peers, neighborhood, community, Chicago, etc. We are still in the process of gathering feedback data related to some of our questionnaire topics, and your answers and opinions are very important parts of this process. At the end of this survey, please give us feedback on how to improve this process for future interviews and suggest questions that you would like to ask your community. What is your name?
Avian Williams.
Okay. Which neighborhood of Chicago are you from?
When you say where you from, like where you've been the longest,
Yeah.
then it would be the Woodlawn area.
How long did you live there?
Well, I was there from like the time I was. She's recording me. I'm sorry. I can't. From the time I was 5 until like 12.
Okay. Everyone plays a role in their community, even if you think it's minor. So, in your opinion, what's your role that you play in the community?
My role would probably be very small. Like you said, like the example you gave, I speak in the morning to people, like to give a positive vibes throughout the neighborhood.
Yeah. How have you been impacted by your community?
I would say, like, I'm more cautious. Like, with certain stuff, when I'm outside, I look everywhere, check my surroundings. I got to stay 10 toes, you feel me?
Exactly.
Right.
How would your life be different if you lived in a different city or town?
I feel like I would have to be more, like, alert when I'm outside, and I would have to, you feel me? Well, basically that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How could you, if you could change anything about your community, what would it be and why?
I mean, I wouldn't really change nothing, to be honest, because that's where I grew up, you feel me?
Right.
I'm used to certain stuff, and I don't really like change that much.
Exactly. How do you think your community is viewed by others?
Like, outside people, like, people that don't live where I live, would probably be like, you know, dangerous. It's a lot of violence and stuff like that. Like,
Why do you think they say that?
Because of the stuff that go on in our communities and stuff, like, you know, the gun violence, the gangs and all that. Like, in Woodlawn, it's a lot of that, especially, like, 62nd and all that, like, from where I used to be and stuff.
Right.
Like, from, you know, Cottage to King Drive and stuff. Like, it's a lot of gang activity going on through there, so.
I feel you. Do you think this, the way people view it is, like, wrong or unfair, or is it?
I would say it's unfair to people who haven't lived there before, like, aren't in our situation or in our shoes.
Because they don't experience.
Right, because they don't know.
Exactly. Is there a way to change how it's viewed?
I mean, it's certain stuff you could change, but to a certain extent, I feel like it's kind of too late. You feel me?
Yeah. Okay. All cities have to deal with issues like violence. Does the city of violence in Chicago compare to other major cities?
What'd you just say?
Like, so all major cities have violence.
Right.
So how do you think the violence in Chicago compares to them?
It depends on which other cities, because some places we kind of similar to, and some cities don't really have stuff like this going on. Like,
exactly. I feel you. What are your top 3 issues or concerns for your community or Chicago, period?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
There you go.
Okay, if you were in charge of the media, what would you show? And what would you do to change the perception of how people view Chicago?
I mean, in the news and stuff, they mostly show, like, the bad parts. Like, that's really anywhere. So I would probably show the stuff that they don't show. Like, our downtown nice and stuff, but not even just in that part. Like, in our areas, it's some nice stuff going on, so.
Okay, how do you see Chicago in the future?
What you mean by that?
Like, good? Is it bad? Do you feel like it's going to improve, or?
I mean, I feel like our generation,
it's going downhill.
we're going downhill because we don't care enough. Like, we don't pay attention to certain situations that older generations pay attention to. We just mind our business, basically. If it ain't got nothing to do with you, then you feel me.
And that could be bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that conclude this interview?
Yes. Are there any other questions that I did not ask you that you should feel like I should have asked you?
Nah, we good.
Thank you.